First of all, one can say that this decision was way overdue, as almost the world, including Namibia, has been calling for Cuba to be removed from the list. What's the immediate impact from this decision?
Yes, the Cuban government is seeing in the right way this decision, but also we don't think that there going to be a very immediate impact, because the governments, the financial institution, the companies, the investors have to see what's going to happen in the next days. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I think it's a right decision. It's a little bit late decision, because it's in the end of this administration. But also, you know, this sometimes is what we think is a geopolitical decision that is taken during the last days of our administration. That's what happened also in the Trump administration, in the last Trump administration. And then I think this decision is on the way in the international call of the call of international community. During the last years, many countries have been calling to remove Cuba from the list of states allegedly sponsor of terrorism, and Namibia has been playing a very important role on this during the last year. The founder president Dr. Sanuyoma, the former president Hifikepunye Pohamba, signed a letter that was written by the former president of Colombia, Ernesto Samper, and addressed to the President Biden, asking for the removal of Cuba from this list of state sponsor of terrorism. Also, during the year, the National Assembly approved unanimously a motion against the blockade and to remove Cuba from that list. Also, the SWAPO Party, the Namibian-Cuban Friendship Association. Also, during the high-level segment of the United Nations General Assembly, the President Ngolo Mbumba, in his address, talked about the necessity of removal Cuba on that list and to lift the blockade also. During the visit of President Ngolo Mbumba in Cuba, also he ratifies this decision. Also during the visit of President of the National Council and the Speaker of the National Assembly to Cuba in this year, they confirmed the decision and the commitment of the Namibian government to fight against the blockade, the U.S. blockade against Cuba, and also to remove Cuba from the list of states sponsor of terrorism. That's why it's a very important role that Namibia has played for this decision. Also, I would like to thank to the government and to the people of Namibia to be joined in this cause, in this just cause of Cuba.
Perhaps maybe for the benefit of the viewers, for them to appreciate what being on the sanctioned list or this list is for the Cuban government in the relations with the U.S. Perhaps just for them to appreciate some of the challenges that the Cuban citizens in the U.S. experience because of this.
Yes, there are many challenges of Cubans, Americans, and also North American people, the people from all over the world. They have been facing many challenges on these sanctions. For example, it's very difficult for entrepreneurs to make transactions with Cuban companies. Also, for the investors to have the incomes back to their country, because they have not the possibility to make transactions. Also, the country risk of Cuba when it is during the Cuba is on that list, and also because of the sanctions, the country risk of Cuba is very high. Then this decision has the possibility to decrease this risk, this country risk of Cuba at the moment, and that's why there's a possibility for the investors, the businessmen, and many governments that can make real trade with Cuba or a change with Cuba.
Now, as part of this decision, President Biden has also decreed that the U.S. courts will not action file under the extraterrestrial Helms-Burton law. Help us explain this matter with us.
Yes, the Helms-Burton Law Act was signed in 1996. It was during the Clinton administration, and this act have 4 titles. The third title has to do with the possibility of North American companies, I mean businessmen, or any citizen from North American, even Cuban American, have the possibility to demand in courts Cuban companies or Cuban locations that used to be from property of North American citizenship, and have the possibility to demand in court from this. This is what the third title writes. But during since 1996, this title was not approved to take in consideration for the president, because the president have the possibility to extend the possibility of apply this title. And the first time that was approved to apply this title was during the Trump administration. It was the first time that this title was approved to apply. That's why this decision to not to allow courts, to make demands in international courts, has the possibility to relax to the companies, relax to the businessmen, in order to make real relation or trade relations with Cuban counterpart.
Now, there are more than 60-year-old economic blockages against Cuba still remaining. It's in force, although we see President Bumba, who is also calling for an end to the blockage. What do you think are the prospects for a complete lifting of this blockage, especially given that there is a new administration that will be joining soon?
Yes, it is not a very easy decision. It's not a very easy task for any administration in the United States. Because the blockade is not an act, is not a resolution, is not a decision taken by the president or taken by some administration. The blockade, as we call it, is a web of acts, decisions, resolutions, sanctions that have been taken during the last 60 years. And then it's very difficult even for the president to make a decision to lift completely the blockade. You have to go to the Congress. You have to be approved by the Congress, because there are many laws that have been approved for the Congress in the past. Then you have to be approved in the Congress, the possibility to lift the complete blockade. Then we have to fight for that. Then this is just the beginning, or just the way to lift the blockade, and we're very happy that we have Namibia in our side.
Well, Ambassador de la Uz, perhaps just finally, what is Cuba's stance with regards to normalizing relations with the United States, given that now Donald Trump will be taking over administration very soon?
Well, our position is, as always, we would like to have a dialogue, a real dialogue with the government of the United States, a dialogue of equals, a dialogue where each part can talk freely with no concession. And we have been talking about that since the triumph of the revolution. The government, the commander-in-chief Fidel Castro, was always saying that we are not enemy from the United States. We are just neighbor. We would like to have a very good relation with our neighbors. There are many Cubans living in the United States. Then we have the possibility to have very good relations. But it has to be a dialogue of equals. Then we don't know what is going to happen in the next day. Those decisions that are already taken by the Biden administration can be removed from the next for the next administration. Even the Trump administration have been very aggressive to Cuba, and also the new state secretary that have already today was confirmed in the Congress. Is very aggressive for not only for Cuba, also for Venezuela, for Nicaragua, for many countries that not in Latin America and also all over the world.
Well, Ambassador, we thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you for this opportunity to talk to the people of Namibia, and to thank the government and people of Namibia for the support in this battle.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.